When I was planning my 2025 travel, I didn't expect to be at Epic Universe on opening day, but when we targeted mid-May for our big trip, it just so lined up that way, so I figured, why not? Let's check out this park 6 years in the making. A park I did a video on when it was announced, back when my channel was tiny, one that people have been looking forward to for so long. If you saw my vlog, they limited the number of people in the park, and everything outside Battle at the Ministry had a very short wait time. But through my great experience, I tried to judge the park objectively. What they do well, what they need to work on, how would I rank the universes? There are so many aspects to a brand new park, and today I want to go over all of them. This is my review of the brand new Epic Universe. First, I want to thank my Patreons and my newest members, Carolus Khan and a Crazy Liar, Coaster Champ, and Caleb. If you want bonus access, bonus content, behind the scenes videos, a shout out when you join, and your name on this fancy Patreon screen, follow the link below and join. My first impression was this park was very organized. They had over a month of previews, and I'm sure they used that to fine tune all their operations. Everything was exceptionally well staffed, even overstaffed given the number of people in the park, so that gives off a great first impression. Like, hey, these guys know what they're doing, and everyone's working towards you having an awesome time. From the time I got there at 4:45 a.m., they had a plan to let people into each station, from the front gate to the security check, into the park, and letting people wait outside their portal of choice. On opening day, they had the characters come out of the portals and greet everyone waiting outside. Not sure if that was a one-time thing, but it was a cool touch. The one thing I noticed about security is how they're not using the latest in tech. Ever since COVID, you see so many parks use those scanners you can just walk through. No emptying of pockets or anything, and these are using airport scanners and metal detectors. So it seems like for a $7 billion park, they'd have a more sophisticated security checkpoint. Once you're inside, the park has a great layout. You find yourself in Celestial Park, the Helios Hotel straight ahead, fountains and the carousel in the middle, Super Nintendo World and Dark Universe to the left, and the Wizarding World and Isle of Burke to your right. You walk that circle and you're never too far away from any universe. If you want me to talk about the rides, that video is dropping next week, stay tuned for that. Or if you're watching this video in the future, that link's down below. This video is more about the park as a whole, and in this video I want to rank each universe, not really based on the rides they have, but on their atmosphere and how impressive they are. I think the least impressive universe is Dark Universe, the one I lined up outside so I can ride Monsters Unchained, this land being very small. You have the massive Frankenstein Castle, you have the spinning coaster Curse of the Werewolf, and you have the Burning Blade Tavern. That's pretty cool. Curse of the Werewolf widens over the footpaths, it has netting all around it, and honestly is kind of an eyesore. The front of Dark Universe looks good. I just think it's the least impressive of the 4 universes, and it's not all that close to the others. In third place, I'm going with How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Burke. When you first walk in, the first thing you notice is the massive mountain in the back, and then you see how much water is in the area. Hiccup's wing glider skipping along the lake, Fire Drill being water-based also, and this is quite a large area. At first, I didn't realize how far back it went. That's where you find the theater for the Untrainable Dragon show. This land is full of vibrant colors and is definitely catered to the kids. Having a playground, the Dragon Racers Rally Gerstlauer Skyfly ride, and the most extreme ride here is the Family Launch Coaster. I was really impressed by the whole area, and it was a razor close race between number 3 and number 2. But number 2 goes to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic. Every Universal Park has a Harry Potter land, and in Orlando, they're all different. This one left people scratching their heads. It's themed to Paris in the 1920s, but then you take the Metro Flu to the British Ministry in the 1990s. The Battle at the Ministry being the only ride in this area. This ride being so impressive, but the queue line being even more mind-blowing. This whole place is so immersive. The tall buildings all around. You're transported back in time to a big city, and they have live entertainment, interactive wand areas. Le Cirque Arcanus, the other big show at Epic Universe, and this area is so different from the Isle of Burke, but I thought it was just barely more impressive to walk around. Number 1 is Super Nintendo World, and it's not even close. The minute you set your eyes on this land, you feel like you're inside of a video game. This is split into 2 levels. You take an escalator to get up top, find yourself in the castle, and being an avid Super Mario 64 player, I wanted to jump into those paintings so bad. They even sell those magic bands and you can go around collecting coins, using the app to see how many you have, competing against other people who bought bands with different characters. I honestly think Sophie would have spent all day here just getting coins, so kids will love this area too. Even with 2 levels, this space seems small on the surface, but if you go to the lower level and head on back, you'll find Donkey Kong Country, and all they have here is Minecart Madness, but this area looks awesome. This is the one area that dropped my jaw on the ground when I first saw it, and it's the one I wanted to show off to the girls the most once they got there. Even on a non-crowded day, there is plenty to do here. They have 11 rides, 2 shows, a play area, a fountain kids can play in, characters all around, interactive games in the Wizarding World and Super Nintendo World. I like that there weren't too many attractions. It freed me up to film and get re-rides in their best stuff, and I even skipped out on Fire Drill and the Carousel. I actually just ran out of time. I rode most of the rides twice. Stardust Racers I ended up getting 5 laps on for obvious reasons. It seems like when these parks are built, they're laid out perfectly, and that's definitely the case here. But when it's time to expand, it seems like it might be kinda hard. The back of the park is boxed in by roads, and they could build a parking structure and utilize the parking lot, but that's all in the front of the park. They'd have to redo the whole entrance, so that makes me genuinely curious how they'll grow this park in the future, beyond replacing their existing attractions. It seems like their next addition should be in the Wizarding World, currently only sporting 1 ride, albeit a good one. I mentioned how non-crowded the park was on opening day, and that was crazy for as hyped up as this park was. At 6 AM, the crowd to get in the park was insane, but not a whole lot of people came afterward. They were forcing non-pass holders to buy a 3-day ticket, something I didn't mind because I wanted to get back to the 2 other parks also. But later, they started selling single-day tickets also. Pass holders had to pony up the full fee to get in, but they were never forced to buy a 3-day ticket. They obviously capped the number of tickets sold so the people who did come could have an awesome day, and that's exactly what happened. But honestly, they could have probably tripled the number of people there and it still would have been fine. Only Harry Potter had a line, and by the end of the night, it was barely over an hour. The other rides were sending out half-full trains, and even Monsters Unchained was having trouble filling in all the seats when we came back in the afternoon. I thought maybe those who bought 3-day tickets chose to skip opening day and hit the following Friday or Saturday instead, but apparently those days weren't that crowded either. I know a lot of people sprung $270 for the express passes on opening day, and they were completely useless. The only ride where you needed one was the Battle of the Ministry, and those weren't even valid on that ride. I heard Universal was refunding people for those express passes, and that's a good thing. It doesn't seem right to control the crowd size, but still sell express passes as if it's going to be crazy crowded. Every ride except Hiccup's Wing Gliders had a single rider line also. That was nice to see being utilized almost everywhere, and if it was crowded, I was going to make use of that when I was still at the park by myself. I used it on Minecart Madness in the morning and saved me some time, but otherwise it wasn't needed. I tried using it on Mario Kart and Curse of the Werewolf, only to find the station was empty anyway. One ride had a posted 15-minute wait all day, Stardust Racers, and that wasn't because people were waiting to get on the ride. It was a walk-on all day until it got dark. It's because it takes 15 minutes to get on. Luckily, this is the only ride with metal detectors, but not the only ride with mandatory lockers. Luckily, these are free, and they use facial recognition to check out and check back into your locker. These work amazing even when your picture isn't very good. If you saw my Stardust review, I mentioned I had one locker that opened on the other side while I had it open. That didn't fill me with a lot of confidence, but aside from that, it seems like the system works. Monsters Unchained has lockers, same with Hiccup's Wing Gliders. The level of strictness varies per ride, and some rides like Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, or Curse of the Werewolf, or Minecart Madness, they just tell you to hang on to your stuff. You never have bins on Universal rides. It's either ride with everything, or ride with nothing. Just take note which ride is which. One thing the park can improve on is adding more things for small kids to do. You're asking for a lot of money for a 3-year-old and there isn't a lot catered to them. Amy is 39 inches and was pretty much limited to the Carousel, Yoshi's Adventure, Fire Drill, the playground, the Isle of Burke, playing in the fountain, and seeing 2 shows. At Disney, it seems like kids can enjoy almost all the rides, and at the other Universal parks, you have the kid-specific areas. Seuss Landing at Islands of Adventure, DreamWorks Land at Universal Florida, and at Epic Universe, you kind of have Isle of Burke, but even then it's not really a kids area. I think they should add more for kids to do, or let 3-year-olds in for free. Maybe start charging admission for 4-year-olds who have hit the 40-inch mark. One thing I love about this park and all the Universal parks is their use of freestyle machines. These are all automated. Your cup is chipped and can activate all the drinks. But if you're like me and just have a water bottle, you can fill it up with cold water just like that. So much better than the nasty warm fountain water, something Disney World is terrible at and Universal excels in. I don't usually eat at parks, but we did get some food at Pizza Moon in Celestial Park. The food was very good and it was a nice themed indoor dining area. If you want to know more about the food here, I know there's a bunch of channels that have sampled just about everything in the park, so I'd go looking for those. As for merchandise, I found the Other Worlds Mercantile shop in the front had a nice collection for the park as a whole and for each universe, but one big thing was missing, the basic blue Epic Universe shirt. I saw dozens of people wearing this on opening day. Obviously, they bought them well before this day, and they were totally sold out, not just on opening day, but the next 2 days also. I even went to the Epic Universe Preview Center on their City Walk area, and they had none. I'm not in this business and I don't want to judge, but you'd think, especially for the park's opening day, you would have hundreds of these shirts stocked and ready to go, and it's kind of insane that for all 3 days I was on the property, nobody even had one. They knew how popular the shirt was. Obviously, they flew off the shelf at first, and somehow, some way, they couldn't get a new shipment for opening day, or the 2 days after. Maybe there was a good reason, supply chain or whatever, but it doesn't seem possible, and they probably lost a ton of money from people like me who would have liked to buy one. So, in conclusion, Universal pulled out all the stops here. The staff was great. There was plenty of stuff to do. When the park gets crowded, you won't be able to see everything in one day without an express pass. They have 2 elite dark rides, 4 coasters that all bring something different to the table, and Stardust Racers happens to be one of the world's best coasters. It is a top tier park, but I probably won't be back for a long time. Maybe if they add a new universe or get a new ride. I just feel like I got the full experience, and for close to $200 per person per day, I'm fully satisfied with what I got. Let me know what you think about this park, if you've already been or are looking to go, what you think they do well, and what you think they can improve on. Also, any other thoughts you have, sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. Also, check out my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.